So this is my review of the Hawkeye Firefly Micro Action Cam. Now I've had this quite a while and I've done loads and loads of flights with it and I've been playing around with it before I actually released the review on it for this time. Sometimes I get the review out as soon as it turns up, a couple of flights and I'm off. But this I really wanted to have a play around and put it through its paces and see how I got on with it. I must admit, for the money I'm totally impressed with it, and you'll see all the different footage as we're running through the review. It's very simple to use and so cheap that if you lost it you're not going to be in tears, and I think the quality for what it is, value for money wise, I think it does a really good job. You can have it, you can mount it any way you like. Basically this is the top of it, so the chip goes that way across it. You've got a lovely little camera mount that we've got there, and I've actually taken a little sort of Dremel tool to it just to nick these bits out so it fits on one of my frames. You can virtually do anything with this. These are really robust and ideal. The micro SD card goes in there, and I've used up to 32 gig in there and had no issues with it at all. And it just pops in like this. You just pop it in and it's quite a tight little fit, and when it's in, it pops in and holds it there. There's no way of, it's not a spring clip or anything holding the actual micro SD card in there, but once you slide it into here it's absolutely fine. And I have actually run it out of here on different things, had a couple of bashes with it, and it still actually has stayed in there. But obviously normally I'd put a band round or something in there just to hold it in position. To get it out, the easiest thing I've found is just to pull this to give it a bit of leverage there, and then push your thumbs in behind, and then you can pop it back out. The other things you get with it is a charging cable, and that's got the little connector there, and then a USB on the back. When you plug it into a mains adapter or your computer or whatever, it will go live and start up. All you have to do is hold the on-off button, and then that will go on to red, and when it's finished charging the LED goes off, so you know it's fully charged. The other things you get with it is a little like sort of GoPro style mount, and this just all slots together, the usual sort of clip together, and that opens up a whole genre of stuff that you can do. The bit you need to actually hold the camera mount itself is this little bit here, and that just clips into there, and then you can attach it to any of your GoPro style things. To be honest, these weigh more than the whole camera does, so I think it's a bit over engineered for what it is, but it means you can clip it to anything, bung it on your bike or whatever you like. And the last thing you get in the box, because that is literally just it, you get the instruction manual, which is pretty good. It just runs through all the basics. It's quite tiny text, and like I say, I'll run through the actual functions of it because it is so tiny and so easy to use. It's brilliant. Okay, so let's have a look at the functions of the actual camera, and as you can see it's just a tiny little cube. It really is small. You've got a little bit of protective glass on the front here. Now I've had this several times. It's gone into wet grass, been out when it's been drizzling a little bit and flying around, still having fun basically. And I have had water sort of ingress in there. You get a sort of the mist of death on there, and I thought I'd lost it, but literally put it in the air in couple of shame, just had it at a bit of an angle so that it could let the water vapor out, and it's cleared every time. And I've done that several times. I don't recommend it, but it just happens in real life when you're flying in the Highlands of Scotland, to be honest. You've got your control buttons here, and I'll show you those in a second. You've got a little hole at the back here that you could attach it to a little keychain if you wanted. You've got your camera reset button there. You just put in a little tiny little pin or something in there to reset it. I've never actually used that. And you've got your power feed in there, and everything charges up on the actual camera itself, as I said. The micro SD card goes with the brass contacts facing towards the front of the camera, and it's just simply just slotted in there. And it's just a friction grip. It's not got that sort of clicking that most cameras have. But honestly, I have not had it come out. Trying to get it to come out is quite difficult. If I was going to fly with it on a quad just like this without the protective housing holding the micro SD card in, I would probably put something, I don't know, a bit of blue tack or something or other there, or something to actually really make sure it's held in, because the card's probably worth quite a lot more than the actual camera. You don't need a high-speed card. It's not, I'll put the rates and everything when I'm in the summary at the end, but yeah, just a U1 will do it. So you don't need a U3 or anything like that, because obviously it's just not that high quality. The buttons on here, and then you've got the LED as well, and then you've got the holes for the microphones as well. Whether it's one microphone or two, I don't know. It's I doubt very much if it's got two in there. If I turn it on first of all, It's just a quick press and you turn it on, and we just get a little blue LED. I'm not too sure how much the camera's going to pick this up, and then it's gone off after a few seconds because there's no micro SD card in there. Now mine's had loads and loads of accidents. I mean, really loads. It's gone underwater, it's done all sorts of things. So I don't know if this is just mine. I can't remember it happening at the beginning, but when I turn my one on, it will turn on for a little while and just sit there, and then it will actually start to pulse that it's actually recording back. There we go, and there it goes, just started now. So that means it's actually recording, so it's actually gone into live recording. So if I just stop that for a second, this is your start and stop button there. So press it again and it will start, and then press it again and it will stop, as you can see. And that's shooting in 720p. If you want to make it into full HD, you simply press and hold that one, sorry. That's it, and then it goes on to green, and then the same again with starting it and then stopping it again. And then if you hold it again, it will go to blue, and then that means it's taking stills. You just press this to take stills. A still is exactly the same as an image off the video file, so I see no sense in that whatsoever. To turn it off, you just simply hold this down for about 3 or 4 seconds, and then the LED goes off. So this is the way it's normally mounted onto your actual quads. This works really well, and I've stuck mine on with Velcro, as you can see here. This is a little Aurora 110. It's a quad I really like. It's a superb little thing. I've done loads and loads of flights around the garden, lots with this on as well. Since I've had this, I've done loads and loads of flights with it. The angle is really sort of spot on for me with FPV. The real racer guys would have it tilted much further back, but you could just tilt this back further if you needed to, put a little wedge under there or whatever. I use Velcro to hold it to the top plate that's stuck on the camera mount, and obviously the top plate itself. Run a couple of cable ties under there and then through here, and it holds it on really nice. I have had one real major incident with it, and it actually smashed the top of this, ripped it completely off, took both the cable ties off as well, and threw it in under a bush. So I'm actually going to put some sort of high-vis paint on it like I have on the camera here on the actual quad, and then I stand more chance of finding it. It was a real devil to find under the actual bush it hit, and there's a slight crack there. I don't expect the actual camera will pick this up, but there is a tiny little crack there, and that's all it did to it, and it must have been one heck of an impact, I tell you. Because it's so light, you can virtually run it on anything. This is a little Furry Bee QAV 95, and as you can see, held it on with a couple of elastic bands. It wouldn't be Tigger's RC reviews without, would it? No problem at all. A little bit of the Mrs. Yoga mat in the bottom there, just to dull it down a bit, because there's a little bit hard mount there, I think. Just sort of give that a go. And this is running on little 2S, and picked it up, no problem at all. Honestly, the quads don't even notice this thing's on there. Okay, so let's have a look at some footage. I'm going to compare this up to the FPV, you know, the DVR that you would take off your FPV goggles. And obviously you're not going to get the breakup that you would get because it's recording back to the micro SD card. And certainly straight away on mine, you notice the colours are way better on this little action cam. It's not having to do anything else by sending a signal back or anything, which is obviously going to help it. And my quads aren't the pristine quads. They get flown, you know, around the garden. They get a bit wet sometimes. They clip trees. They, you know, things happen to them. Life happens to them. I think that's what's the way to say it. But you can see I think the camera's coped really well. I haven't had a lot of jello. Well, I haven't really noticed any real jello with it either. And I haven't put on brand new props and tried to make it super smooth. I just do it as it is on the reviews. So I thought I'd put some 1080p footage in for you as well. And if you notice the skies, as the sky's coming over and going nice and clear as you can go back and forwards playing around with this footage. I haven't got that band in that some of the other reviews I've seen have had. This is a 720p footage as well, so you can compare those up as well, see what you like. I did upgrade the firmware as soon as I got it to the latest one, and that's really easy to do. You just simply go onto their website, download it, pop it on your micro SD card, pop it in the camera, turn it on, and then take it back out and reformat the card, and it's done it, and then you just off you go again. So I'm pretty impressed with it, actually. Well, very impressed with it. I thought it coped with all the bashes and everything else I gave it, and also produced a pretty good job for the money. Quick test of the microphone on it. I'm not expecting great guns off it, as you would imagine, for the price. And I'm just comparing it up to my Yi 4K, which is the one I use on most of my reviews.
The huge advantage over this thing is you could literally clip it onto anything and use it as a little selfie cam, couldn't you, anywhere.
Okay, so what do I think of the little bundle? Well, let's just weigh it first of all. There we go. And we're just around 16 grams sort of thing, which is pretty impressive, I think. It's just amazing that you can get an HD cam into that weight. And also knocking them out, these with a discount on at the moment, and I put a link in description for you, they're about 12 quid. So I think they're absolutely awesome. I'm going to grab another couple because I think it could be quite good fun to put like a couple on a quad, or stick one on your bike, or, you know, stick it underneath the Typhoon H watching the gimbal work, or your DJI or whatever. You could just literally sort of stick it on anywhere and never get too worried about anything happening to it. You'd probably be more worried about losing the footage than you would losing the actual cam, I think. I really like it. I think it's awesome. The mount is really good, and it's dead easy to put on if you've got a flat top plate on your quad, or if you've got an angle one like I had on the QAV, then obviously you just strap it on there, and you can just use bits of foam just to pad it out. I didn't notice any real jello, I didn't notice any at all, apart from real wobble if I was in sort of prop wash. But apart from that, it was absolutely superb, I thought anyway. It's really simple to operate, and it seems to work every single time, which is, you know, the key thing to know that you are getting your footage. The mic I thought was very muted, and to be honest, I can't say I'm disappointed in that, because I wouldn't be using it with a mic at all. To get a little bit of audio with it, I suppose, is all right. And on the quads, you get the scream of the quads for sure. I just don't particularly like that by putting that on my review, so that's why I do the voiceover rather than the screaming of the quads. Bear in mind, mine's been in mud and has water in it, so the microphone might even be more muffled than it is normally, but I can only review it as it is, and I've literally been running this quite a while. I've been playing around with it, and then I thought, well, I better really do a review of it, because perhaps share it and see what other people are thinking about it, and obviously tell me what you think about it down in the comments and everything. So I'm totally impressed with it. It's got 160-degree wide angle lens. They say it runs for about an hour. I've never managed to run it out, to be honest. I've run it out a couple of times where I've just sort of been playing, but I've never sort of clocked it for a full hour. It probably runs something like that, to be honest. But it's so easy to charge out, and even out in the field, just a little power bank, plug it into your USB on your power bank, plug it into here, and you can just keep it topped up. I did run it completely flat, like I said, a couple of times, and it does take about 2 hours to charge up fully from flat to fully charged again, and then off you go again. But I mean, you don't have to have it fully charged to run. That's a nice thing. You just put a little bit of juice in it and go off flying. And with that in mind, I think I might charge up another couple of quad batteries and get out there and have a couple of flights and a bit of a play with some more footage. Hope you've enjoyed this one, and I look forward to seeing you on the next.